Alex Ansary here. It is Christmas Day on December 25th, 2017, and hopefully the perspective that I share with you, I'm doing this without a script, uh, hopefully it is helpful because it is in line with this theme of surviving the spiritual warfare. And I can see times in my life, more so in the past than now, but times in my life around Christmas or around the time of my birthday, which is the 25th of February, certain traumatic things occurring in my life with regards to other people or certain situations. And I've wondered for a long time, what is it about the winter? And then I've noticed recently with regards to YouTube uploads from other people that talk about psychic protection, energy vampires. If you do a little YouTube search, you'll see like the topic is growing exponentially. Now, I've been thinking about this constantly, and I want to share this with you this morning. Probably one of the more important videos of the last few weeks, but it's been building and building up until this point because I can see myself how I respond to the sun and when there's a lack of sun. And I'm starting to see it more in society. Now that I've already been talking about like archonic influence, some choose to call them demons. Some will just call it seasonal affective disorder. I think they're looking at similar things. But if someone doesn't get enough sunlight and they're getting too much internet, too much false light, you could be dealing with, I would say, some people that can end up possessed or not themselves. And it can happen to the best of us. Now, what does it even mean to be possessed? It doesn't necessarily mean like what you think, like The Exorcist with the head spinning around. It could be like a negative thought pattern that is detrimental to us. A negative subconscious thought pattern that we take to heart. So like a possessive or possessing thought form bubble. Self-sabotage. I'm taking the thought to also like things I've experienced over the years in Portland, a place that's very dark during the winter and colder, believe it or not, than where I am here in Colorado. And what do the people do more during the holidays? I don't per se, I didn't say I'm perfect, but I don't drink heavily. I don't drink and drive. And it's apparently a big social problem within our society around the holidays. Why? And can someone be spiritually attacked to do something that can ruin their life? Yes. From promiscuous sex with the wrong person with an STD to bad relationships to yeah, go ahead, take one more drink, and they find themselves wrapping their car around a telephone pole. And yeah, marijuana, totally different than alcohol. But people can also end up around shady people through the seeking of marijuana outside of dispensaries. And of course, you can save a lot of money, but certain situations, certain times of years, we might want to be careful who we're associated with. And some people may not know that there's something wrong with them or other people. If we may not be talking to them on the internet or on social media, they may not know that, like we have as humans, a period in which we also feel a need to go into hibernation like a bear. And I feel like I want my hibernation. I think that if we don't get the proper rest with the right cycles, we can end up a little jagged. Now, I am that guy looking at the computer who's inside sometimes when the sun is out. Sometimes I'm focused on something, but I know that sun needs me for an hour out of that day. It needs to shine on my forehead. It's not a matter of me looking at the sun. It's not a matter of it even being warm enough. So I'm grateful for the fact that where I'm at, even though it's winter, I have good exposure. That picture that I've used many times, by the way, of me looking at the sun. My friend took that picture. That is overlooking the Portland, Oregon industrial area. It was a special time of my life, a time of the transition, a time that I was about a year into my solar flare studies, about a year after my first PDF on the subject that was published in a physical magazine called Nexus. You can Google it and find the 8-page PDF. to see my words published in a Australian publication, to me, like, seemed to be confirmation from the universe. That was 2010 when that picture was taken. Here I am 7 years later, and I live off the grid, and it's because of the sun that I have the power to come to you. Of course, I uploaded these podcasts with the power of my car, using my car as a generator, far more effective than my little Walmart $200 generator crap. But, car, Honda, it's been helping me get the podcast to you early in the morning. So thank you, car. Let's all thank the car. Merry Christmas, car. Merry Christmas to all of you. Let me know what you got for Christmas. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we don't really do things like that this show. And I appreciate the fact that I've had a quiet Christmas, no drama, you know. And but I understand from personal experience this subject, and I feel like I have the words to help enough people get through this day if you're feeling down. Not just this day, this week. That's why I get into the fact new moon. I don't go into deep astrology, but that doesn't mean that's to be discounted. It means I don't necessarily follow it or give it power. What I look at, or the things that I look at that I feel drawn, it doesn't mean that other people, right, don't have their own truths. It means that I don't sing to their tune. I'm looking at stuff over here at these solar cycles that they don't look at. So I'm completing a puzzle piece as far as I'm concerned by looking at directly light, less light, more light, and then, of course, the solar energy component, that which is invisible. You're not necessarily seeing the aurora borealis if there's a geomagnetic storm, but you could be feeling it. And the people around you could be reacting to that invisible electromagnetic energy. But that's what it's really all about. So we're actually a few minutes into this, and I did mean to get into the main subject matter, though, about protecting your energy. And there's certain ways to do this, and you can learn to watch videos from others. But I would say that I would say that probably both polarities. When there's a lot of energy coming out of us, like June, July, there could be a lot of sabotage, potential stuff in the height of summer. But the winter, because our energy could be lower because we're out getting less sunlight. I know how I feel compared to other seasons. I know that I'm making more videos in other seasons. I know that some humans don't understand how some of us have certain ways that we respond around Christmas and New Year's in January and February and March biologically, especially when we live in certain environments. It's difficult for me to communicate some of these ideas. I do feel misunderstood. But we do literally have these natural biological circadian rhythms to the changes in the stars and the cosmos, and when there's more light and less light. So we're coming out of this period, and I've noticed certain things. I don't need to write a book now, but thinking about it, like certain times where unlucky things happened, or people seem to snap, or attempt to create some sort of emotional pain. Wintertime, often around wintertime or midsummer. But wintertime's what stands out, or anything close to my birthday, which is February 25th. Not to give anybody any ideas or anything, but Christmas time and winter. So those are times where I'm definitely, so I don't want anyone to take offense by the fact that I'm not like responding to hardly anyone on the internet. Um, it's because I go into this space where it's like I could just take it all off the internet if that's what people really want and just not be there at all. But I'm not going to do that. But, my interactions are and it's because of this period every winter around Christmas, New Year's, moving into the birthday. And in fact, yes, I guess it was March 28th in which that unfortunate thing happened several years ago. And then it seemed like, it was really coming out of it around spring. It's not easy being in the shoes that I'm in, but I definitely believe that I've accrued a lot of information that you guys could apply without having to go through the stuff that I've gone through. Just by knowing about it. So let's say your husband's freaking out or your wife's freaking out. Like, it's not right if they're being abusive. It's never okay. But there could be reasons why they're freaking out during like the winter months. Like I would even say like fall into spring. I'm really looking forward to growing food for the first time on my property. Like there's the land use codes are strict enough that I can't be building more, adding more than I already have. It's it. What I've got now is fine. More than this, it has to be like, around. I need to put the focus into gardening or maybe something else. Um, I'd like to move those projects forward. I don't want to be bogged down by the negativity on the internet newswire. I'd like to be able to find a job in 2018, even if the last 2, 3 places that I applied at in the last week or two didn't get back to me, and I'm bent about that. It's also a very slow season. I got into a lot of that in my other video, kind of how this is a time for New Year's resolutions. Check that out, and for people to really refocus on the new person that they're creating this year, because we can reinvent ourselves, and we ought to, and we should not be holding ourselves back by old energies, old thoughts. For myself, even old videos, old topics, but moving forward. So yes, I mean, just generally speaking, I don't think I want to go on forever. I think that we as human beings are targeted for our energy by these entities. Whatever your mind is open enough to comprehend. Whether or not you believe in it, I don't think dictates whether or not they exist. But yes, we can give certain things power, but just denying them doesn't just get rid of the problem. There's a lot of people out there that deny them that are absolute servants of the archonic system, transhumanistic agenda. Bringing this just because they're denying certain things doesn't mean that there actually is a larger agenda behind the scenes. And so, yes, it is like we're being studied by aliens from an off world planet. It's interesting how this is being discussed more and more. And perhaps in the future, people will get it that we, as human beings, are electric beings. And we're responding to changes in the cosmos. When we exert a lot more of that prana in our aura that they, and in some cases only they, can detect and feed upon, they will when given the opportunity. How is that done? Our energy can be redirected through these traumatic emotions. So people creating insult, emotion, high emotion, low, vampire type stuff, emotion, low energy, alcohol abuse, pill popping, other forms, domestic situations, trolling, road rage, major cities, people having an attitude with each other in traffic, things like that, materialism, addiction, that's the human seeking more energy in order to get these types of, and then being on the internet more, being inside more, using more of the artificial, being around the artificial light as opposed to the real light. It's just compensation. It doesn't mean that humans to blame or is, wrong for being imperfect. We are imperfect, but we should understand why we have certain inclinations. So if I'm feeling more lonely and sorry for myself during that a whole period of less light, and I'm in a mountain range environment where they've done physical studies, how the women suffer even more than the men from the serotonin fallout that comes from living above certain elevations. They've done studies. They've done studies on suicides and new moons. See, a lot of people are just running around not even understanding what's going on, not necessarily valuing some of the perspectives that I'm bringing. But I think that's the best advice I can give you. If you're feeling way out of whack, like I am sometimes, understand there's a multitude of things happening, and it's normal for some people to wig out during the holiday season. And in some cases, flip out over the holiday turkey. I guess we can also apply Thanksgiving. I don't think these people are aware of it. Certainly, I think most people think it's a joke to discuss the idea of spiritual warfare. Even more so, probably arrogant to discuss more spiritual warfare around the holidays or periods of low light. But I think I'm getting to something. How do we survive it? We connect with our own light and we look for ways in which maybe we are hurting ourselves through our own negative thought forms by having low light personally. So, what type of negative self talk do we give ourselves? I don't need to repeat to you when I'm aware of what it is. I'm probably not aware of all of the problem. How honest can we be with ourselves about how deep it goes? That's a personal thing. So you identify what that is and what we go through around the season. And if a lot of us grew up kind of like an orphan without a strong mother or father figure, right, in our lives, if you've gone through things like me, holidays trigger primal childhood traumas. We might find ourselves, other people coming around, floating around to tell us we have no value. or to downplay our value. And they may not even know why their actions or words are on autopilot, but we can see it coming a million miles away. Why? Because we saw someone do it last year on Christmas. Because we saw someone do it 2 years ago. We start going, pattern. About how many of us would consider ourselves like full-time, lifetime researchers of this so-called archonic spell over mankind? How many could say they truly believe that throughout their whole life they've dealt with non-human interference in their relationships, including with family, including with their mother and father? See, I do believe that. I do believe my whole incarnation is about like overcoming, not being a victim, but overcoming. A lot of people are going to be in denial that we face these things. A lot of people are going to be in denial that we're not alone in the universe. Or some people will admit there's something going on, but be like, oh, no, that's not happening to that person. Oh, I know. That's just in their head. And honestly, right? We'll talk about something in their head. So all these people think they're being gang stalked by the government. And will actually tell other people on YouTube that they're being gang stalked by the government, which is fairly inappropriate and irresponsible. If you can identify it to be a spiritual cause, that there are humans acting in certain ways, low light, even sometimes doing nasty things to each other during the holiday season, violent things. Again, I'm thinking back to my own experiences. I saw like 15 guys beat down one guy one time in Portland, Oregon, when I was working at Ruth Chris Steakhouse as a busser. They all spilled out outside the bar. It's one guy, dude. It's one guy. And they're all just right in there trying to get their hit on. It's like, I wasn't calling it archonic then, but I was doing videos talking about the battle of good and evil, the New World Order. But to me, right then, I was looking at a bunch of possessed humans that somehow or another were affected by that time period of New Year's Eve. I knew that. I knew that then. I knew that then at that, was it New Year's 2007 going into 2008, I think. Or it could have been '08 going into 9. One of the two. But I knew right there and then that had to do with low light energy, that mob being possessed, and that possession energy having just enough strength to cause a disturbance. Now, I'm not saying that this energy is all powerful. I'm saying that when humans lower their energy, and here we have a fighting situation, who knows what started it? Was it drug related? Was it alcohol related? Again, there's a lot more of the consumption of the substance, I would say, and people being festive, and then again, forgetting the fact you just can't go around drinking and driving in today's society. You live in a police state, and if we look at DUI statistics and charts, I'm curious what the chart would really read, but I'm guessing there'd be a lot more around the holidays, New Year's, Christmas. I'm just guessing, and I'm sure that data's already out there, and cops know this, right? So they're in a situation to capitalize on this. Again, if people would just connect with that inner light within, they wouldn't feel a need to make such a big risk. Why else do people make a risk going out and drinking? Well, you might get laid. Connect with someone else's energy. Bada boom. Maybe wind up in their bed. Smell some new sheets for once, right? Wouldn't that be great? Oh, I know nothing about thoughts like this from my earlier days. Oh, I know nothing. I know all about it. Oh, the idea of being with someone during the hall. No, I've been there. One night stands with women I never talk to again, right? In and around, all around this Christmas time period, Thanksgiving, January, cold bodies. Ooh, now warm. It's just mammalian behavior, right? You got to be careful of playing with that passionate fire because it can lead humanity into parasitic situations. People that want our light and our energy for reasons that are selfish, but not really related to the real respect of another. So yeah, if we were to look at hookups and one night stands at just typical mammalian behavior, not to judge, we would probably see more of this during the winter seasons. So obviously, people come together and travel during dangerous situations, snow, to not physically be alone during the winter. They will go through it all under the guise of the holidays, right? But they're not coming home for the holidays. What I'm literally doing is the opposite of that, meaning I need to be strong. Otherwise, I go through a lot and I hurt. And people subconsciously may be responding to my hurt by wanting to make more of it during the holiday seasons because they're on autopilot, part of this human biological grid. And they're either going to be on the light side or the dark side. Some people are bipolar and they'll go back and forth, being good witch, good human, bad woman, good man, bad man. right? Light being good man to bastard, to a flip of a coin or firing off of a solar flare. Things like that, which can actually cause bipolar type responses. And people that have already those multiple personality dispositions. And they will be in denial that the solar flares are causing their flipping or other factors. They may think they're an expert in certain things, astrology, and I haven't realized that these real world events, lack of light periods, do cause dramatic influence on brain chemistry. What is the solution when I go through this, when you go through this? It's that inner light in the sacred heart. As the picture depicts with the heart and the light, but also the light in the head, there's also, we read about, and do your own research, the heart-mind connection. We connect the heart and the mind. Ground. I would say this is the ultimate period to get off the internet. I understand that we get a little bit of light influence, and I'm not one to speak. I'm watching self-help videos of some type, spiritual lectures, basically right now all day long, to be frank with you. None of it has to do with politics. I'm staying up to date with the nuts and bolts information with precious metals, Bitcoin, China, other world events, off-grid news. But I'm not letting it dominate my focus. My focus is, well, right now in this video, which is also kind of a micro of my macro focus, getting through this time period of the winter into spring, letting my audience know that this is a period in which you might find people flipping out around you, family members, whatnot. And there's a way to deal with other people's psychosis without letting a potentially violent situation get worse. Or with people in the street, in the supermarket, people eyeballing you. I made videos 2 years ago about dealing with the archonic influence, interference from others, that interference energy from others, that Agent Smith attitude from others. When you're in public and you're in a good mood and you're smiling and you have a good day and somebody looks at you like they hate you, and then you're sitting there wondering, is it my ethnicity? Is it my gender? Is it them thinking I'm in this class and they're in this class? What in the box thinking, illusion of separation thinking is it? You deal with A, the situation of being judged, someone dogging you, and then B, you wonder about what it's like, man. At some point, you get tired of thousands of experiences like that. Take a guy like me, I'm going to go in a situation, but at least I'm waking up to it, where I have less energy around me. I would love to be able to have a coffee with someone once a week in my community, very close by, where there's some sort of common interest, and I don't have it. I have to go greater now than ever. This wasn't at the top of my consciousness last winter. Last winter was on my wound. I came here to heal. But if all you focus on is the wound and sharing details about the wound with people that would abuse that knowledge, that's not going to trigger healing. Some stuff should be private, especially for the public figure speaking on YouTube. And some healing has to come through other means, internal means, that are only between myself and the Creator. There's certain things I can call out to the Creator. I even said in Jesus' name the other day when I needed help getting my chains on my vehicle coming back. One of the chains broke on one of the sides. I got to find a replacement. Well, a little part that'll connect the chains and hold it. Those of you that have used chains know what I'm talking about. Oh, Jesus, oh, angels, help me now. How long was I waiting for somebody? 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes. There was a guy that stopped and helped me. Nobody else came by during that time period. That seemed to be another sign that the Creator was still with me. And what am I doing here with that which has been made possible? I make videos from the heart. In some situations, day in and day out. And some days I got to take days off to recharge and go, it's better to focus on speaking my most truthful message than just speaking for clickbait or just being on a schedule or being a machine like. That's what other YouTubers do. But I don't want to be like them. I want to talk about the internet. I'm on a contract that I have to pay the internet bill every month. If I break the contract, it's going to throw my whole thing off. And it's $66 per month because I'm paying for, that's more than I used to pay. And they upped it $10. So I'm no longer paying 45. I got to pay 66. I'm feeling like I can't afford the internet anymore. Moving into this new year, I feel like my finances are changing to something far more challenging. I'm going to try to find a way to roll with that and roll with the fact that I didn't get called back for the last 3 job applications. But not to even really talk about that, but to note, okay, I'm 2013, I'm really getting 18, 2018, I'm gonna have to be on it to make this a better year, prosperous year, but also move the content forward. So part of that, because I don't need to be online to create good content or a documentary film or to write a book or to write a series of essays that I make public for all. I'm stuck in the contract, but coming up after the snow season, after it's snowed, after it's melted, I'm going to focus more on gardening, connecting more with the natural light, making lots of videos, but not being on the internet for 2 months. I may find myself rushing back to the internet so I can do stuff at home, but I'll try 2 months. Kind of like a vacation, but a vacation from the instantaneous communication, making myself work a little harder to upload my own videos. Hopefully, the audience enjoys what I'll be creating during that spring to summer period. But I feel like creating that now as something to look forward to, a place where there's hope, a season in which there's hope, where I'm going to sprout these seeds, right, and embrace all this light and be up on the property, be growing food, and I'll already be going to get water. So I might as well just use that opportunity when I'm going to get water for my plants to upload my videos, meanwhile staying off the internet. These are things that we want to think about. And do I, right? Sometimes look at social media and my YouTube videos for a place of getting energy? Absolutely. Is there power in stepping back from it? So I'm going to output energy and still, of course, collect a few dollars via the YouTube AdSense making videos, but not be looking for love in all the wrong places, if you will. Attention from this or likes for this or, oh, like, heart, and Facebook can really F a man up, especially if he's a single man. And we're living through this email, YouTube, Facebook, social media matrix. It can really, really be an unhealthy thing to a point where it actually causes actual serious problems in some men and individuals. It's a big load to carry if someone's going to be sharing truth, to also at times feel this backlash. The internet is an energetic conduit which can be used for a focused attack, like a directed energy weapon, whether your imagination can wrap that around anything or not. It's its own, it can be its own directed energy weapon that operates outside of quote unquote a directed energy weapon. It can also be used in tandem, though, for people to be targeted that are on the internet to use actual satellite directed energy weapons. And that's the unfortunate thing about people that are on that grid all the time. It's out of line with what is natural. So for me to step away from Wi-Fi was one step. I have to go forward and start adapting to pulling back from being online at all for days to weeks, but yet create a situation where I can upload. So I'm not there yet. I'll be online, by the way, all winter, but it's something that I'm thinking about for the future and how it will probably help me focus on becoming a better speaker and putting more time into my videos, a lot more than what you're seeing right here. But help me go to the next stage of OTB 2.0 and creating more on-demand content that I think would be more appropriate there as opposed to YouTube, just so you understand. You know, there's some content that I don't think is safe anymore for YouTube. It's too controversial. Some stuff's personal. I like the idea of having an option, to where I put content that's exclusive. And then there's, of course, a lot of the stuff, most all the content that I put out for free on YouTube. I'm going to be focusing more in 2018 on the exclusive content from a variety of things that cannot be excluded or put down into one category. I want to wrap things up here. So this is again a time of going within to the Sacred Heart. That is something that people experience through the act of meditation. Some people fast. Some people step back from certain things. So we've talked about that. It could be a number of things that you abstain from. I have never been a monk in this lifetime. If you believe in the idea of multiple lifetimes, I identify with the idea of being a monk that abstains from certain behavior for years at a time. And right now, I'm living somewhat like that, but I'm talking, right in my mouth every day. Some people even think that I'm annoying, but some of them keep coming back for more, despite what criticisms they have. They keep coming back for more. So there must be something that they like or love to hate. But in the end, they enjoy elements of the content. That's why they return again and again and again. And I think this is the first year in which I've discussed the idea of the archonic influence ratcheting itself up. I could have talked more about it, but this is based on observing what's happening with everyone. It's based on what's happening in the newswire. So a very violent beatdown of an immigrant girl. I think it's inappropriate, even if people have their passionate views. I don't think it's right for there just be like this 10-on-1 beatdown just because you don't like the immigration policy. I think that it's just really cruel and unusual, especially when it's a little girl. I think there's no excuse for that. But these are the types of videos that I'm seeing on the internet. I feel like, it's a society that doesn't want to hear it. Those things are going on too. It's not happening just to one ethnicity or one gender. There's a spirit of evil that almost seems alien, that is a blueprint for destroying humanity, right? It's going to be more active during certain times. This is one of those times. I think it's a little premature to even end the podcast without reminding you that we've just seen Elon Musk and the SpaceX. I just talked about the whole War of the Worlds alien invasion nonsense after the Pentagon misdirects the public when it's likely being controlled by aliens to say it's concerned about the aliens. It's basically admitting that there are forces that are potentially threatening, that our government's been concerned about, that it knows nothing about, but it's out there and it's not the foreign government. It's straight up something intelligent. It's not just random rocks that's flying around. That's setting us up for Project Bluebeam. People like myself have been talking about that for years. While the real alien agenda continues without detection because of the telepathic invasion. It's beyond what we understand. It's not even necessarily alien or beyond the Earth. We get so defensive whether it's called alien or demon. How do they know it's not from inside this friggin' Earth? Pretending to be from outside this doesn't really matter, but it's not human. But it's out there. And it operates during times in which humans are weak. There are certain periods in which humans are weaker. And it's during those periods in which mankind could be duped into certain thought patterns and actions that make it even weaker. So it's like a downhill slope. There's certain things where it's an uphill slope. You know what I'm talking about? Where you feel like you're getting healthier or getting weaker. There is a reason why you see people just responding to their biology without even sometimes knowing. Sometimes they do. When it's something simple, like gym memberships going up after January. Why is that? More light. Spring, more light. Why? Well, we look at a male, for example, and even a female, in particular a male with the proper exposure to light, and more so in certain areas, testosterone. An increase in testosterone, by the way, when there are geomagnetic storms, and it increases testosterone. And again, this is necessary for health. It's necessary for the hair to prevent itself from straight up falling out into patches. It's not all evil or about aggression, but normal, balanced hormones in the body necessary for healthy eyes, healthy teeth, healthy hair, healthy nails, and preventing certain diseases along with healthy thoughts. But yes, the vitamin D that one is needed, that one needs, and I would even say certain genetic dispositions need more vitamin D. They've done studies on how African Americans need a certain amount of vitamin D. With a deficiency, they're open to certain illnesses. So people are living in certain environments without enough vitamin D, and they don't even know about this stuff. And they could be making it worse by hiding from what little sun is coming out every day in December, January, playing video games all day long. Yes, they can end up compromised. Yes, they can end up sick. Yes, they can end up XYZ. And it's more than just the sunlight. It's the thoughts. It's the spiritual work. It's the grounding. It's the earthing. It's tuning out from some of those negative influences. It's tuning out from some of those negative substances. Again, there's a reason why we see fads and movements where people are into exercising again and healthy living and healthy thoughts. And if you step back at times, you can even see a wave of it. And I'm telling you, I saw more people trending and talking about suicide in the days leading up to the new moon. And I wasn't really making videos about it, but I was watching it. I even made a video myself where I was talking about psychology. If a lot of people were to talk about their spiritual awakenings or spiritual attacks to today's psychiatrist, when some of the stuff comes on strong, like it does for some of us, like I'm saying right now during the holiday season, oh, it's strong, that interference. And it is invisible. It's not even necessarily coming from other human beings. We could be feeling those negative entities looking down upon us from their dimension with jealousy. Now look at you. They're sitting there, and it's like if they're not getting their normal feed of energy, they're just acting in certain ways, manipulating, moving around things a certain way to squeeze the tangerine, if you will, of whatever drops of liquid are left. It's not normally giving out as much juice. It needs a little squeeze. Hence, we look at even the staged events. I talk to you about the fake news that they launch as we go into winter. This is a perfect segue. Because I covered this before, like biannual, it was 2013, late 2013, it was late 2015, it was biannual. It was late 2017, it was centering around September and October. This is key for those of you that understand there is some disinformation on the internet, and they'll be freaking people out about Planet X or the tribulation or something major into the world, get prepped, horde type energetic response. And I'm saying to you that it seems like something or someone, whether you see them as aliens, demons, or just straight up intelligence agencies, the government, right? You know what I'm talking about. Like knowing how to push people's buttons. Because people are going into winter and there's less light, and people are thinking about, oh, we need more energy, or we need this, or we're moving into this type of panic response, or fight or flight. And there's also a long-standing history in the ancestry of battles or being invaded during the winter, or for one's resources. So there's a lot of that archetype stuff, or a lot of that stuff that's embedded itself in the DNA from past chaoses that we may have experienced, either a past life, which is beyond genetic, or just straight up the genetic disposition to get ready for whatever it is our ancestors had to get ready for. Not just talking about food and water, but protecting the women. But see, that instinct then would also be with the woman, to be with maybe some men that they would consider good men or stable men. And of course, there's the family part, you know. There could be sorrow and emotional feeling because people are not together with, like when they were a little kid, opening up presents with mommy, for example, and they're an adult, or they're all alone and they're living off the grid and shed, excuse me, wrong channel, or whatever, they just remember a period where it was this, and Christmas is, but to me, it's more than my own self-induced. I can take a look at my own life, and from fall all the way up to spring, I'm watching my back spiritually and physically. And I'm seeing just shifts in personalities. And I'm very much, if you will, being very careful about everything now. And I don't think that can necessarily stop some bad things from happening. But it's like, are there, well, I should talk to you about what happened last year. Are there certain things that we can minimize in our own life, like ways we can minimize bad luck during the holiday period, during the January, February period? Yes, we pull back from certain risky behavior. We pull back from certain unhealthy things. Like, this is really important for me to not smoke this year, whereas I probably smoked cigarettes most of last winter. You know what I mean? Certain things like that, and other personal things I don't need to tell you about, or things others are going through. It's actually a period in which we have to up our game. It's to me, it's a very spiritual time where we can make great breakthroughs. If we reach almost like that Vipassana type of, and I've referenced it for you to look up how that meditation is done to bring us to that place of equanimous action or response, combined with perhaps other meditations. But in a Buddhist philosophy of suffering coming from desire, you know where I'm going from this. If we step back from our desire for energy from others and even material things on Christmas and a New Year's party and a good drink and a good lay and energy from others and even compassion, and we find a way to just be alone, that's the journey I'm on. We can find a place to set ourselves free from that suffering and misery. And so much of my suffering and misery comes from being alone and feeling like lots of things I probably should not continue to describe, to just put it out there into the matrix. I have to truly be okay all alone, alone. in my circumstances and find this middle ground to emerge from this, to be so grateful for the things that I have, to not be in a state of self-pity, but self-victory. And that comes from a certain way of life. And that's the thing that other people may not understand. Is it's not just some guy on YouTube living a regular life. Not only am I talking about this stuff, I'm living it in a reality where the sun literally goes down at 4:30, 5 o'clock, where I am literally affected by like 14 hours of dark. I'm in the mountain range, folks. The sun goes down earlier than it does where you're at. What do you think? I flip the lights back on? No, it's darkness. It's time to go to bed. A couple of the solar lights that I bought or had sent to me, they broke because they were cheap plastic goods. It was a great item, very loving item. It was an item that shattered pretty easily. I have other lights, but the fact they're made, I said, you know what? I'm not going to buy anything. I'm not going to seek anything for my property, even as far as additional structures and bells and whistles. I'm just going to work on stop being afraid and making the most of what I've got. As I mentioned earlier, that's attempting to garden something and seeing what works well. This year, while pulling back from the internet for a few months, while increasing my uploads during those spring to summer months, but just not being on the internet consuming videos in a semi-addictive way, which is what I currently do. I'll watch something on YouTube. I'll get into a subject. I'll almost like a detective do, investigative research, watching Antifa fight the Trump supporters in Portland, Oregon. See who started it. Look at the drama. It's one big giant soap opera. I don't want it anymore. I don't want to be looking at that. I don't need the internet's not doing for very much for me right now. And at times it can be very lonely getting on social media, looking for love in all the wrong places, wishing certain people from my past would contact me. People I used to love. There's things that weigh on me, especially during the holidays that you don't know about. I remember the first time I went off grid, what it felt like to hold myself being so cold. When you're in a cold environment and you're holding yourself, your chest, and there's not an adequate heating, so you're just holding on for dear life, covering up your pectoral area because it's very sensitive to the cold. For any of you that have slept in a car situation where it's cold, you know the cold that I'm talking about. And all this pain would come and hit me about all these relationships that never worked out in my life, and feeling forgotten, feeling hated, feeling like I could die any. See, and a part of that is us working through that. It doesn't mean that those aren't real thoughts, where there's some real stuff there, but it's through that pain that we can totally be psychologically attacked. I'm going deeper into this, okay? The terminology described to me as pictures. There could be a trauma within us that's a picture, that's unresolved. And if, let's just say, a spiritual parasite knows what our pictures are, we're the wrong human. They can activate those pictures through particular means to cause a spiritual attack. And they can even do it without knowing that they're doing it, that they're activating those pictures during particular periods on the timeline, because they're not all fully there. But that's why a lot of attacks and people going off and things of that nature, and you might hear about fights in the streets and horrible things happening out there during the holiday season, or things happening around the dinner table. Heaven forbid, we read about this every year. So it's one thing to feel the pain of emotion. It's another to work through it. If we work through it, then we can have a breakthrough and not be that maniac that kills his family. We can be the man that worked through his trauma. And just like, an Indian in a sweat lodge ceremony, which I've done once in Taos, and I did put out the intention that I would one day have the resources to be able to reach the world. That prayer was put out in 2013. In 2016, I manifested was able to move on the land where I might be able to generate many years of content. I was also in Taos that I experienced some very bad luck as well, including damage to my vehicles, transmissions not working, ignitions refusing to work, and other things. So I've seen Taos as a place where it's a very, very terrifying place where someone can come on a great spiritual attack from others. And I can see again when that happened, that was right before I got my land. That was March. That was too coincidental. The period in which I experienced some horrible things. And I can go on and should. I should remind myself and you that when that whole thing happened with those people being kicked off their land, we were going from fall into winter that they did that. That was September, cranking up in October. As the snow fell, they kicked my friend Daryl Carter off his land, an old man. And what were we doing? What were we doing? I was recording for Daryl, and I invite you to watch it. Watch what I recorded outside Blanca. Watch my Man on the Mountain series, then comment. Watch the Man on the Mountain series for Christmas. If you're new to my work, check out what I recorded 2 years ago. That's how real this is. Within days of those videos, the county came up and said that we had 10 days to get off his land. They had already targeted everyone else. I was the arrogant young SOB thinking that we can just record videos on YouTube and just keep it about Gnosticism and don't talk about the county and we would be respected as spiritual men. No, that's not what happened. The Archon saw a young man and an old man that may have been friends, souls in a past life, and they came to rain on our party because we were activating there on what he believed and called a crystal mountain. And because we were YouTubing in real time our awakening, what he was sharing, they looked at that and go, we're going to shut down their party. They already were pissed at him and me, frankly. You probably saw it as arrogant that I would have the confidence to put out our Gnostic information on YouTube from land that they already told us we had to get off of. Man. So that scarred me. You could even say it caused a little bit of PTSD. And it happened around Christmas. So he left Colorado. I left for Taos. And ended up having some major challenges. And all because I got pushed out of Costilla County. I got pushed to another area in which I had some serious complications. And eventually the transmission, I don't need to keep going on and on and on. But I'm almost getting chills. And I get very worried about being hurt again by this world during a time in which it's cold. So I don't know what to do other than tell you that there's something real going on. Whether they call them light beings or spiritual beings, some people only say Christians because they won't see outside of Christians and those that are quote unquote born again. But they're reporting that they're going through it big time. And so people are saying, say in Jesus' name, Jesus, he'll come and fix it. I'm like, I'm not going to deny your Jesus. What I question is some of these people that are going on these routes of just saying in Jesus' name, but not doing the work behind it, like promoting the teachings of Jesus, like standing in the way of these dark individuals that want to see these people harmed. There are people in this world that need to be exposed. The thing is, one thing that I've learned is if you're going to go out exposing the archons, demons, you better have your own street cleaned up and at all times. You better keep your focus. You better keep your awareness. You better stand strong. You know, you often hear about, experiences where people get put in jail or prison. You're going to walk through a prison and you're going to show your fear and you're going to show your this. They're going to people that are going to come up and screw with you and maybe even attempt to rape you. Well, this is a prison planet where there are a lot of souls in prison that may not even know that they have a soul and that they're in a soul prison matrix. They may just think that they're a human alive today. But in reality, they're a soul in this cosmic prison. And subconsciously, they will act like a prisoner, walk in the yard, ready to shake some fool that show them fear. So we got people literally walking around pointing astral guns at each other. On Facebook, in the comment section, I see what people say to others. I even may agree with their criticism, for example, of a certain YouTuber. But my attitude is, well, if you really, really, really hate them, you probably shouldn't keep watching them for hours, nor I, nor anyone. Because it can't lead to a positive place when you're in obsession. Yeah, that's of the realm of the Archon. When men are obsessed with their men, that's when you have other energies stepping in. They're almost beyond this world. And when it happens to you and it happens to me, I'm telling you, I think that we're wired as humans to be brainwashed by magnificent, spectacular, sensational entities. It doesn't mean that they're creators or the true creator. They can call themselves God all they want and masquerade, separated by thousands of years in some of these Old Testament-like religions. which some argue is the original before Christ, the Old Testament, Judaism, and Islam. Many people believe, by the way, just so you know, that that's not really the creator. Those are entities that convinced man through supposed prophets that they were gods, but in fact were entities. And I think that this Gnostic belief that was very persecuted by the Roman Catholic Church, by the way, they have discovered additional teachings of Jesus. And if you know anything about that, this new discovery, find a way to get in contact with me, either over email or social media. That would include Twitter. And I wouldn't mind working with you or others to look at these new teachings of Christ. I'd like to see some interest in some audience members um, in investigating the spiritual nature of our lives and understanding that our thoughts do have an impact. And there are consequences for our actions. And it's not a matter of negative, positive. It's like a mirror. Whatever you do, whatever I do comes back to us. That's why I say, we may be victimized in our lifetime, but we're not victims by being in this world. We're in this world with this kind of sun, this kind of moon, in this kind of a body, around these kind of humans for a reason. What is that reason? Why are we brothers and sisters? Really? Us? Brothers? Yeah, under the same sun, under the same moon, under this consciousness in these bodies to where we can see even human forms in nature, in consciousness. We could see male genitalia or female breast parts in a tree. We could see how a tree itself can even look like the internal components of the lung. We can look at rocks in nature and see faces. What does it mean? Because we are mere vessels here to experience consciousness on a planet that was terraformed perfectly for this experience. I don't think we're a random tadpole that accidentally manifested to our current biological form. This social experiment, spiritual opportunity has been allowed by the Creator for a reason. For our spirits or souls, we don't need to overthink the language to be inside these types of physical bodies, this type of hardware. So we have a certain kind of software at a certain level operating within a particular hardware. The software has to upgrade to go and do more upgraded hardware, more upgraded bodies, in a more upgraded matrix. And I believe it's out there where the compassion is greater for the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine, where the feminine isn't desecrated and as it uses a marketing purpose, where her beauty is appreciated, but it's not like what it is today in this society, in this fallen world. There's so much more that's possible. That's so much more that can be expressed. And ultimately, we're working to get to that place. But if we fall, and if we let the demons, the archons, our own negative thought forms cause us to fall, and during these moments like winter and late fall and early spring, there are opportunities to fall. If our light isn't strong, if our shield isn't strong, Google shielding. Watch videos by YouTubers where they talk about shielding, where they talk about grounding. Let me save myself 10, 20 hours and let you know there is an element of mankind. I know I've been pessimistic. There is an awakening, a spiritual awakening. And I have testified to this before I went to my trip, and it's happening because more people are finding themselves under attack as we go through the decline in 2017. And we've been seeing an increase in types of chatter. And I'm here to tell you it's there because we're powerful beings that are here to work beyond this realm. And that's why they try to put those roadblocks, checkpoints, misdirect. That's why you have a lot of people that, are very skeptical of the so-called ascended masters. I don't believe necessarily that some of these entities that people think are of the light are actually of the light. I think that mankind is easily mesmerized by pretty objects like a more intelligent, more vocal monkey. And I think that that's not all, evil to be in physical form. It's that we have to rise above certain deceptions. We have to rise above certain instincts. We have to rise above certain impulses, certain things that we think are vibes, that we think also are psychic impressions, that are in fact more of this mind hack. I actually have so much more to say about this, but the best advice is to get good rest, change your diet when need be, get the proper exercise. When you have a day where there's, no geoengineering and a bright sun, try to go out and get some of that sun or position yourself in your house so that sun is going to shine down on you. Think about reading a book. If you identify that you're dealing with some personal disturbances, create a way to take you away from whatever focus that was. I would say for those that don't need to be on the internet, you shouldn't be on the internet absorbing a lot of chaos news unless it's a YouTuber or it's a video that is saying things that some way, somehow is enriching your life. In that case, that's something that I'm doing. I am literally watching around the clock positive footage from other YouTubers that is relating to things that I'm going through on a personal level. And I would like to hope that some of these videos that are being produced now are helping people get through what could be a turbulent holiday season. If you are actually living amongst others, there could be a food situation or a gift situation, and there could be trauma and drama. I'm just here to tell you, and I don't want to get into my own experiences out of respect to those, but it's like this year, not so bad. Other previous years, oh my God, I could write a book and probably should. But you want to talk about situations where some people act possessed, where they be in real life? It could be a live-in situation where it was the wrong person you should not have been romantically involved with, and they just go into, attack mode, abuse mode, forcing an incident. Have you been through that? Have you lived through that? Have you had friends that have lived with abusive partners that have just decided to break everything in the house? Have you dealt with people that have dealt with trolling, stalking? Have you dealt with people that have been, emailed by strange people? Kill yourself. Kill yourself. See, I've been through that. I remember like going to social media and telling people about what this crazy female that I'd made the mistake of living with in Trinidad, Colorado, what she was doing directly on the day of Christmas. And there were people that were messaging me telling me to kill myself because I was literally like broadcasting my wound. And I've seen other things like that to where I was at a lowest point around and then broadcasting it and then people feeding on it. I even made a video saying my trolls really come out around the holiday season. And that was with regards to just a bunch of like rude comments made in like 2015 around that holiday season. And a lot of them, of course, racist, also against white people. Uh, a lot of the Hispanics in that county that I talked about that didn't like the new, mostly white off-gridders, that I was coming to their aid. I was coming to the aid of the new off-gridders that were wanting to be left around all alone on their land. But yet their ethnicity and the fact they're new and not from Colorado upset some of the local Hispanics. And there was a lot of race baiting, a lot of other cruel things that were being said. And even though I don't support Donald Trump, someone even called me a poor man's Donald Trump, like he knew anything about me. So remember how many people were just on me. But what did I do that was so bad? I came to the aid of off-gridders that were being kicked off their land and ended up feeling myself, right, all wigged out, all feeling hated by all these people. And that's like a really messed up thing to go through during the holidays. And yet each holiday season, I am all alone. And each year. And I'm not here to complain, but to testify to my strength. And there are people out there that won't acknowledge that because of an ego thing. But I'm telling you, each year I do become stronger as I live off the grid. I learn more about society. And some people don't like my analysis after my observatory study is done. And that's why you can find other channels that vibe with you. But I'm here to tell it like it is. And I feel like I'm accruing a lot of wisdom by living alone, by living off the grid, without living with all these technologies and electricities, and without having dates and nice dinners and people in my life. It's making me tap into that light even stronger. And I think that the audience needs an Alex Ansary that's strong within, more so than an Alex Ansary that needs other people. So I believe that what I'm going through, even if this is hard to imagine, just try to hang with me for a minute. Somehow the things that I've survived and the things that I'm sharing can help other people. You may not believe it now, but maybe come back and look at the information in a few years and see how relevant it is then. Until then, till the next video, I'm Alex Ansary signing off. Merry Christmas.